what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Real Heroes Show. You got Cory with you in this video, and today we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Halloween on 4K Blu-ray all the way back from 1978. This is a re-release from Shout Factory / Scream Factory, and it is a collector's edition. We're going to cover the packaging, the tech specs, the video quality, the audio quality, and then give a recommendation at the end. So before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are chugging along towards our goal of 500. We're getting really close, but we need your help to get there. So looking at the packaging, this is a collector's edition, as you can see along the top here. It has a very nice matte finishy feel, if you can hear me rubbing on the packaging there. It's not a traditional slipcover either, more like a booklet. The disc slides out from there. Open her up. You've got your 4K disc front and center. And then over here you've got two Blu-rays. You've got the new Blu-ray that comes from the 2021 4K scan. And then you've got a Blu-ray with the original color timing on there. So got a couple different options for how you want to watch, which is pretty cool. I really do dig this packaging. It feels very nice. It feels like a collector's edition, which is fantastic. While we're on the collector's edition part, there are a lot of special features attached to this. You can see almost the entire back of the packaging tells you about all the things that are in here. So there's stuff like commentary with John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis, audio commentary with the cinematographer and the editor. You've got TV footage, theatrical trailers, TV spots, radio spots, all sorts of really cool stuff. So if you are a fan of this film, if you're a super fan, this is definitely made for you, which is really cool. So to dive into the tech specs of it, obviously this is from 1978, so it was shot on film. It's got a native 4K DI, which is fantastic. And the 4K DI for this new one is from a 2021 scan of the original negatives that was approved by Dean Cundy, who is the director of photography for this film, so that's pretty neat. It is presented in Dolby Vision and HDR10, 235:1 aspect ratio, which is its original theatrical presentation. And then for audio, you've got three different options. There is a brand new Dolby Atmos mix for this. There is a DTS 5.1 mix that you can choose from, or if you want to go the purist route, there is a DTS-HD Master Audio 2.0 mono track. So if you want to just have your left and right speaker with no subwoofer, to give you that real 1978 feel, you do have the option for it. So video-wise, I have some notes here because I can't remember anything anymore. Interiors looked fantastic. Tons and tons of detail on wood panels, wallpaper, handrails on stairs. A lot of this film takes place inside of houses, and I think it all really looks great. There's a light layer of grain on this, but it just looks very natural. It doesn't look like it's really scrubbed with any digital noise reduction or anything like that. It looks like it's a film. It looks like it's shot on film, which I think is really what you want. The dark scenes are very, very dark. Sometimes when they're walking through an unlit hallway, there's a very little slice of light in the middle of the frame, and that's it. The rest will be very black. I don't know if that's a byproduct of the Dolby Vision, or if it's just the route they decided to go with the cinematographer for this pass, but when you watch with the lights out, it's pretty effective. It's pretty cool. It really feels like you're in a house that, anybody's walked around their house with the lights off before. It can get very dark, and that feels very, very true to life. There's some lightning flashes in the beginning of the film that contrast a very dark nighttime scene. They're very bright. They made me squint, which was really cool. Love the HDR usage there. At the same time, the scene where Michael hijacks the car, there are some major specs on the film, because they probably used high-speed film. It's outdoors, almost pitch black, but I really like that they didn't scrub those away. Those specs are there. They're in their full glory. It's a movie from 1978, and I think the folks that went over this and made this new presentation said, you know what, that's it. That's the way it was. That's the way people saw it. That's the way you're going to see it now, and they're kind of preserving that image, which I think is pretty cool. Detail on faces during close-ups is pretty fantastic. Everybody looks great. Good texture on clothes, too. There's a lot of a lot of plaid, a lot of button downs in this one, so you got a lot of nice texture on the clothing. Really looks good. The well lit scenes, so the stuff that happens during the daytime when they're at the graveyard or they're just walking through Haddonfield, it looks like it could have been filmed recently. The image is very sharp. There's a lot of really great contrast. Really not a whole lot to complain about there. Saturation does get a nice boost. One scene in particular, I think it's when they're in Annie's car. It's got a bright red interior, and the red really, really popped. There's also a matchbook at the beginning of the film that was very, very bright red, which contrasted a lot because a lot of the other scenes are kind of on overcast days or at night where there's not a lot of lighting. So to see that little bit of pop from the color was pretty cool. So for a movie that is now 43 years old and still on a top 10 list for most people when it comes to this genre, I thought they did an amazing job with the video. I'm going to give this one an 8.8, which is a pretty high score for me. Moving into audio, the star of the show here, which I probably should say, I toggled back and forth through all three different soundtracks, the Atmos, the DTS 5.1, and then the 2.0 mono. I settled on the Atmos mix. I thought it sounded the best. I don't have trained ears when it comes to cinema, so if you think that the 2.0 mono is the only way this should be viewed, let me know in the comments and tell me I'm an idiot. But I landed on the Atmos. I thought it sounded really good. The music during the credits was as crisp and clear as I've ever heard this soundtrack. It was fantastic. Every clank on the piano and every dissonant audio cue just got you right in the chest. It was really cool. The dialogue was clear, but some of the effects on the Atmos track, whether it's rain or wind or something, they kind of bordered on overtaking the dialogue. I don't know if that's just a byproduct of microphones weren't as good as they are now back in the day. Who knows? But in most of the scenes where it's dialogue driven, there's not a lot of effects going on. Perfectly crystal clear, no issues there. Anytime you can hear Michael's breathing coming through one of your speakers is insanely creepy, especially the way the Atmos track, separates it, whether he's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the frame, and you can just hear like that really creepy muzzled breathing underneath the mask. Very unsettling, really cool, really loved it. Low end, there's not a ton. It's an older movie. A lot of the effects like the stabs or the glass breaking or people falling down a flight of stairs, they don't have the same kind of punch that a new movie has. They just didn't mix films that way back then, which is perfectly fine. I wouldn't want them to alter the film just to kick in a subwoofer. That being said, there's a few times from the musical score where it digs down low, and you do get some nice response from that and kind of fills out your room. So, and then lastly, all the jump scares, which in this film, most of the jump scares are triggered by a musical cue. They're at a nice high volume. So even if you're listening and it sounds like everything's kind of just normal and chugging along, when one of those jump scares hits or one of the scenes is there where Michael's framed in a doorway behind a character, and the music hits you, it makes you jump. Like, even after seeing this movie plenty of times, a lot of them still got me with this mix, which I thought was really, really cool. So it's not perfect. There are some scenes where one person's talking and they're louder than the other. Sometimes some of the effects, even though they kind of sound hokey, I feel like they could have been a little bit louder to kind of match the musical score or whatnot. So for the audio on this one, I'm going to go with a 7.8. It's one of the better presentations I've heard, but it still isn't perfect. And I know it's hard to preserve something from 1978. So it gets a 7.8 for 1978. To wrap this one up, would I recommend purchasing this if you're a fan of this movie, which most people are? I mean, obviously it's one of the top horror films of all time, and it's 43 years later and it still creates tension and builds over an hour and 15 minutes before a great climax, and sets up one of the most iconic characters in film history. I would absolutely recommend it. They also, Scream Factory did Halloween's 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well, the same way that they did this. I'm not a super huge fan of those movies the way that I am of the first one, so I probably won't be checking them out, but I would imagine that if they did the same level of care to those as they did to this first one, that those are all probably very good as well. I would say hop on them quickly if you are interested. I had ordered this through Amazon originally and never got a ship date for it. The day that it came out, I checked on Best Buy. My Best Buy locally only had 3 copies of it, and I ordered mine as early as possible to make sure I got it. So these may be in short supply. They may go out of print. So if they are important to you, I would definitely recommend getting them as quickly as you can. So that's going to wrap things up for this video. I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave me a comment below and let me know what audio format would you listen to this in? Would you go the Atmos track that's brand new, or would you go the purest route and listen to it in 2.0 mono? Do you own this movie already? How many times have you bought this movie? Love to hear from you. Share us in the comment section. Let us know. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so absolutely for free. Just like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said at the top, we're getting close to 500. We want to get there by the end of the year. We need your help to do so. We're on social media as well, so if you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, we are at Real Heroes Show. We'll be back later this week with a review of The Guilty on Netflix. We will have a review on Friday of the season finale of Ted Lasso. We're also going to be live streaming on Monday of next week in the evening, probably around 8 p.m. Eastern time, to talk about all things Ted Lasso season 2. So please be on the lookout for all those things and so much more. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.